Welcome back to Third Song In, where I swear to God, in the words of Penny from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? We are bona fide.
Bonafide.
Coen Brothers, baby. We're talking Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I'm not often in the league or in the ballpark when it comes to movies, but I think I can hang with you on this one.
Yeah, I felt like you could too. There's just too many lines you've dropped over the years, and too many offhand references we've made to those two and the all the movies that they've made.
Not unless you think round is funny.
God damn it. That should have been. I may change my law to wisdom quote, even though you just said it, because that is
Uh,
one of the best lines. Oh my God. I had kind of forgotten about that one. Do they come in all
that's one
kinds
of
of funny shapes?
them.
Not unless, not unless you think round is funny.
Yeah, I
Oh,
almost use
man.
I almost use that one, but I found a better one. But
Yeah, it's hard
so
to,
I,
there's a lot to choose from, right?
there is, and I could be wrong, but I think both of us were introduced to the Coen brothers from Raising Arizona. So I know we're going to have a draft, and we'll probably play the little game and not mentioning movies. We don't want the other one to draft. But Raising Arizona was the introduction. I don't remember if we saw it together. I honestly don't, but it was such a different but hilarious movie. And I mean, it came out after, I mean, it wasn't their first movie. So
No.
in my usual way of doing so, I went back and tracked to earlier movies. I think it may have only been one. Now I'm forgetting my history. But from there forward, for at least the next, five or six, seven of their movies, when they came out, I went and watched religiously. I will say I've fallen off a little bit, but just because I don't watch as many movies, not because I'm still not intrigued by their style.
Yeah, well, one of the things is that they've recently been doing stuff apart from each other. And I don't know, and maybe while we're doing recording this episode, we can take a look. I don't know if they have anything on the horizon as co-directors, because the thing was is when they started, the rules for the Directors Guild were that you could not have co-directors. You had to list a single person. And if my recollection, I can't remember exactly. I'm sure if we just took a look, now IMDb lists them both as co-directors even for their original movies. But the fact is that I think it was Joel was always listed as the director, and Ethan and Joel were listed as co-writers of the films of their original stuff. But then at some point in the last, however, 30 years, 40 years, the Directors Guild changed their rules, and so the last half a dozen movies I think are listed together as directors. But if you've ever seen any interviews with them, I mean, they did everything together. And when you
Right.
see interviews of people who've worked with them, they talk about how those two guys were always kind of like they were working with the same brain and finishing
Hmm.
each other's thoughts, and they knew exactly what the other guy was thinking when they would make a change or do something on set.
So they copied our style, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Well, for us, there's a different
What?
reason people say we.
Uh,
I was going to say for us, there's a different reason that people say we share a brain.
Yeah,
I think
because
it's because we each
we each
have the
need the other
IQ,
half.
right? We each have half the IQ, as we've just proven by talking all over each other right there.
That was one of the few times that I did it on purpose.
I am still looking for a good chronological. Yeah. So
I have it. So
uh,
Blood Simple was first, and then
correct.
so there's only one movie before Raising Arizona. So that's what
Right.
I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw Raising Arizona for the first time together because I think I saw it in the theater. I know we've watched it along with Jope actually on video together probably three or four times over the years when we were roommates. But it was Raising Arizona was definitely the first one I saw, and it took me a while to circle back to watch Blood Simple. Blood Simple was one of those film festival giants. Everybody loved it. It won everybody's award. It won at Cannes, I think, but I know it was huge at Sundance, and it's definitely the movie that broke them. but it's also kind of different than I think most of what they did afterwards. It's much more
Yeah.
serious. It's much more of a thriller. It's much more of kind of a psychological thriller. It is much easier to see the influence of directors like David Lynch on Blood Simple than maybe on the movies they made after that. And that was one of the things we talked about in our David Lynch episode, was about how he influenced other filmmakers. And the Coen brothers in particular are always named as having been tremendously influenced by Lynch in his work. And again, if you watch, and I like Blood Simple a lot, but if you watch Blood Simple, you can see his fingerprints all over it.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic because I don't think we were as friendly to David Lynch as we possibly could have been in our episode. And I think we'll be
True.
much more positive and reverent in some ways for the Coen brothers catalog. So
Yeah, but and I started to say, I love their movies. I really do. I watch every one of them. I don't. There are a few that aren't my favorites for sure, and we'll talk about those, I'm sure, especially when we talk about the draft. But in recent years, Ethan has been writing and directing with a woman named Trisha Cook, who I think might be. I think she's his partner. I'm not sure if they're married. I'm not 100% sure that they're a couple, but I think they are. And he did a movie that just came out. I just watched it a few weeks ago called Honey Don't. It stars Andy McDowell's daughter, who's, by the way, just drop dead gorgeous. But it's kind of a detective noir thing set out in the Southwest, and it was just okay. Like, there were some funny things in it, but it didn't rise to the level to me of a classic Coen Brothers movie. And that team also did in 2024. There was a movie that came out on streaming called Drive Away Dolls. Actually, I might have been in the theater as well, and I didn't like that one at all. It was kind of a weird lesbian road movie. Also a bit of a crime thriller. Like, you can tell this is the same guy who wrote a lot of the Coen Brothers stuff. But there's definitely something missing for me. I didn't like it as much, either of those movies, as much as I like the older Coen Brothers stuff.
yeah, and I've definitely fallen off looking at the nice chronological list. It's hard to say three syllable words in the morning. Ironically, the last one I can remember seeing is True Grit. So I didn't even see what is probably considered one of their best Inside. And I don't even know, is it Llewyn Davis?
Lewin, yeah, Inside Llewyn
Yeah,
Davis.
Llewyn
That's a great
Davis.
movie.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna name all the movies, so they're out there. So when we get to the draft, you'll just be confused by all the titles that are floating around in your head.
I was looking at the Joel and Ethan only list on Wikipedia. And Ethan, as I said, did Drive Away Dolls, and he did Honey Don't. It looks like he also did a documentary that came out in 2022 about Jerry Lee Lewis. Really like to see that, actually. I think that'd be an interesting documentary, but I haven't seen that, can't comment on it. And Joel's only done so far, he did The Tragedy of Macbeth, and that starred Frances McDormand. And I, again, haven't seen it. Generally don't watch much Shakespeare on screen. And I don't remember if that did well, if it was lauded, if people thought it was good. But they're, in my opinion, they're definitely better together than they are apart.
All right, so both of us have cited Raising Arizona as the starting point for us with the Coen brothers. And I used the word unique, I think, when I first described it. I mean, it was different than anything I can recall seeing at the time, and it's stuck with me to this day. Certain scenes will just pop into my head, like unless you consider Round to be funny. So, what do you think between the two of us? I mean, what is it that struck us so much about that for us first Coen Brothers movie?
I think it was the humor that was underneath everything.
Yeah.
It was an oddball story. First of all, they like to take stories that feel like they might be true, but they're just so weird. They're just so odd. I mean, the foundation, the premise of that movie is that this guy is goes out and wants to kidnap one quintuplet because he and his wife can't have kids. and there's a rich couple that has 5 babies, and he figures they won't miss them none. I mean, it's just crazy. But they play everything straight. They play everything serious. The actors don't, they don't crack each other up. They don't. It's not, set up punchline type of humor. It's not like your classic comedy by any means. But everything they do is just, is funny. And they're so good at casting people that could pull that off and present these deadpan lines like, unless you consider Round funny. I mean, he didn't say that looking for a laugh at all. It's just that was what the character was. So they were just so good at bringing these really oddball, quirky characters to life. And like you said, I had never seen anything quite like that before Raising Arizona.
No, and the casting I think is key because they take advantage of sometimes what others might consider weaknesses. Like Nicolas Cage could be over the top and bizarre in this movie, and it was perfect. Like it wasn't like his acting style was out of line with any of the other actors in there. And even and I think I have it. Was it Tex Randall Tex Cobb played the biker from hell or whatever it
Right,
was,
the demon that
and
rode a giant
he was
Harley.
only in for a little bit, but he was perfect. I mean, just and even that one was bizarre. And then you start to see the beginnings of other conventions they used in movies, like the dream sequence at the end, where he dreams about how it all may have turned out, which reminds me of the one in oh shit, the Big Lebowski, the bizarre
Mhm.
ass dream in that one, which was taking it to a whole nother level. But yeah, the acting and yeah, it wasn't like lines were delivered just for a laugh. They were all part of the weirdness of those characters and the weirdness and the humor of those characters. It was, like I said, it was different because I mean, in the 80s, you're dealing with all those movies where like someone will kill somebody and then have like a line. It's like,
Right, right, yeah,
it was
exactly.
all about big lines and big moments. And this movie, of course, had big moments, but some of the funniest ones were little moments, like the balloon one. I mean, that one stands out. There were other hilarious movies, like when he's trying to steal the diapers and the guy's shooting at him and he's just trying to hold on to the
Oh,
diapers and
that long dolly shot where he follows them all the
right.
way through the
Yeah.
backyard and through the grocery
Yes.
store. Yeah, they had their own sensibility. They were definitely it was Coen Brothers that made me start to appreciate auteur directors and the fact that there were certain filmmakers that had a style. And if you go through the filmography for Coen Brothers, they made all kinds of different movies. They would hook like an oddball premise on top of a genre. Whether it be like this was a heist movie, kind of.
Yep.
Miller's Crossing, which was the next film they did, it came out in 1990. That was a gangster film, but they made it so weird and so odd, and they changed the vocabulary. Like these gangsters talked differently than you were used to hearing anybody talk, let alone gangsters.
Yep.
They just had this style of theirs, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with the fact that they collaborated together. So I can just picture them bouncing ideas off of each other and writing lines and checking with each other to see what they thought of those. But it was all low key, and as you said, it wasn't written. It wasn't written for a laugh out loud response. Although I've been at many Coen Brothers movies where I laughed out loud because of something somebody said.
Yeah, and I feel like that one, there's others that we'll talk about as we get to the draft, but Raising Arizona was pretty close to a perfect movie as far as I'm concerned. It just
Yeah.
pulled all the elements that they not repeated, but expanded upon and further developed or whatever, that which is the same thing, expanding upon in future movies. But to me, the newness of it, especially the different approach it was at the time, because 80s, as I said, it was all about bombastic movies and action heroes and all that other stuff. And they brought it down to a totally different level. And that stuck with me. And so I sought them out for all the movies afterwards.
Yeah, weirdly, as quirky and oddball as all their premises were, and their characters were, the characters felt in some ways more realistic
Hmm.
than watching the latest Bruce Willis movie or watching whatever the new romantic comedy was. It felt somehow less Hollywood, I guess is the only way I could put it. As I started paying attention to directors and what they were doing with films because of Raising Arizona. I agree with you that that movie is just one of their most outstanding. And they had a couple that I feel like were clunkers, although my theory is that most of the movies of theirs I don't like. I don't like because they were remakes of older movies or they were
Yeah.
someone else's script. When they directed their own stuff, it was almost always out of the park.
Yeah.
And I just, I wonder with Raising Arizona, we've had this conversation before about musicians and bands and how, a first album can just be perfect song after perfect song. And then the second, third, fourth albums tend not to be that way. And in my head, it's always because that first album is what the band was playing for years
Right.
together and developing for years. And they put their heart into that first one. And then that comes out, it does well, and they're like, hey, we need another album and we need it in 6 months.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was that effect with the Coen brothers. I mean, it wasn't their very first film, but it was their first like big budget or bigger budget feature. I think as I understand it, I believe that Blood Simple was actually just an extension and an improvement on a student film they did when they were in film school. And they built on that. But I think Raising Arizona may have been the first one where they were like they had everything ready to go. They had all these ideas that had been kicking around for years and years.
No,
But
there's some great performances in that from, fairly smaller roles like John Goodman, who became a repeat player. And we'll talk about that one second. But it's funny that you brought up music and albums and how the evolution from that first great one to possibly less than great ones later. But it's the first time I've thought about this. I wonder if this movie had any role in my moving from, because I was probably pretty heavy into the old crappy hair metal at the time, which was
yeah, yeah,
bombastic and theatrical and all that other stuff like the
yeah,
movies of the time.
87. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one was odd and more real, about real characters. It started to move probably to a little bit of the Steve Earle, I love it, a little odd, a little much more real, and definitely more low key. And again, I'm not saying that that's true, but I may need to think about that a little bit more as far as my own evolution and what I listened to and what I watched.
But yeah, you're right because you think about the humor that underlies almost every, or at least parts of every Coen Brothers movie, and that's what those guys were like. That's what Steve Earle was like. That's definitely what Lyle Lovett was like.
Oh yeah.
He generally wasn't doing setup punchline, but his songs were so funny and so like witty, I guess. And these movies always feel kind of witty to me. Like you got to put a little effort into uh, paying attention closely to them.
And Pontiac was 1 year after Raising Arizona. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I
yeah.
never thought about that. There might be a book in there for you. But you mentioned it's funny because John Goodman was in the very first, the first big Coen Brothers movie, the one that because it was popular, it gained a lot of acclaim for them when it came out. Raising Arizona did, and John Goodman played I guess technically a small supporting role, but he was just so big in it that it's one of the first things people think of. And that was the other thing about Coen Brothers and a lot of auteurs, I think, is they ended up with an ensemble. They ended up with just certain actors that got it, I think, and trusted the Coen Brothers and also knew how to deliver dialogue and acting the way the Coen Brothers envisioned. And it is talk about a murderer's row of actors and lead actors, but also supporting actors in all of their films. John Goodman being first and foremost. I was able to look it up. He's been in 7 Coen Brothers movies,
Wow.
including obviously Raising Arizona, which is the kind of when they hit it, their first film in the big time. But it was kind of interesting. So Frances McDormand, I mentioned her. She was in Blood Simple. She married Joel. They're still married, as far as I know. And she's she's an Oscar-winning actress at this point. But she's been in 8 of their films.
Wow.
And George Clooney, who wouldn't necessarily be a guy you'd think about, but when you think back, you're like, oh yeah, he's been in a ton of them. He's been in 4 Coen Brothers movies. Uh, John Turturro's been in 4. Stephen Root has been in 4. Buscemi's been in 5. Those are all people that when I see them, usually the first thing I think about is a role of theirs in a Coen Brothers movie.
Several of those actors, including Frances McDormand, Turturro, Buscemi, and even Holly Hunter, they all seem perfectly cast for a Coen Brothers movie. The actor who I ended up getting far more respect for because of his roles in these movies was Clooney, because he was the handsome leading man, always cast as,
Yeah,
the
ER,
big superstar.
doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he played some great, hilarious characters in these movies. I mean, Oh Brother Where Art Thou? He was awesome. But others, what was the divorce one?
Yeah, that's Intolerable Cruelty. Uh,
Yes,
I think that's an underrated Coen Brothers movie,
yes,
and he is. That's when you're right. It's when you realize, first of all, how intelligent an actor he was, but also how willing he was to be the butt of jokes.
exactly. Which,
Because he had those giant white, sparkling white teeth, he just, that's that whole movie is just kind of a lawyer joke. So initially it irritated me, but I got to tell you, I've come back to that film. I think that movie is really good. And the other one, and I just rewatched it, kind of in anticipation of this episode, but also just because it showed up on one of the streamers as "You Might Like This." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I like this." I watched it like 4 times. I watched 2008's Burn After Reading,
yeah,
which is kind of a spy movie, but again, Clooney plays the most ridiculous. He's like a ATF agent, I think, or something like that. But he's stationed in DC. He clearly just doesn't do anything but think about having sex with women. But again, it's such a foolish character, and Clooney just pulls it off perfectly. He does such a great job in that. That's another movie I think doesn't get the accolades that it deserves, in my opinion.
I agree. I rereading it, and I mean, I shouldn't forget about, but Malkovich is such a great character in that,
Oh yeah.
doing what he does so well.
I think it's on either Hulu or Netflix or one of the main streamers right now. If you get a chance, it's not a long movie, by the way, too. I think it's only like an hour 48 or about hour 50. It's definitely under 2 hours. And it holds up really well and it's really, really funny.
I do still have Hulu, which I'm watching more and more of because frickin' YouTube TV and Disney are fighting. Let's do a draft, friend.
Let's do a draft, friendo. There you go. There's
No.
a Coen Brothers reference right there.
When all that's said and done, hey, let's do a draft.
All right, so we're going to draft our favorite Coen Brothers movies. And to start the draft, I have to flip a coin. I'm the designated third song in coin flipper. I should probably get one that I can actually tell which is heads and tails.
That might help.
And
Tails. Tails.
and Chris called tails, and it is heads. I get to go first if I want, or I can defer and take the second and third picks because we do a serpentine draft. Is it serpentine or serpentine? I've been wondering that for months now.
You need to get a life, dude.
No, that's literally, it's the only thing I've been thinking about. It doesn't matter. I am going to take the first pick
Yeah.
because we both want to take Raising Arizona first.
Yeah.
The good news is for you is that you can't go wrong for the next like 7 movies, as far as I'm concerned. But we've talked already about it. Raising Arizona is a classic of American cinema. I think in a lot of ways it changed the way people make movies. It's kind of like, I think that Pulp Fiction changed film a lot, and Tarantino is another auteur type of director where you can almost immediately tell it's a Tarantino movie. Raising Arizona brought that kind of filmmaking to the general public, and it made I don't know, it made a huge difference for me as far as becoming a film buff, becoming someone who likes to watch movies. So it's their second movie. They made a ton after that, but I don't know that they ever made one. I don't think they ever made one better than Raising Arizona. And I watch it at least once a year.
Man, even after that, it's tough to pick the next two because
Yeah.
All right, I'm for sure going to take No Country for Old Men. It's probably my favorite of their movies.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I it's brutal, it's poignant, it's just a great movie. Josh Brolin is fantastic in that, and as is what's his name? Shoot, I know Tommy Lee Jones is great in
Tommy
it. Yeah,
Lee.
but it's
Yeah.
the bad guy,
Oh,
blanking on his name.
Javier Bardem,
Yes.
who won an Oscar for that, by the way.
Yes. I mean, just a chillingly brutal killer, but one of the more intriguing as well, even with the weapon that he used, which was nuts.
Yeah.
All right. I have to try to think about how to do this strategically. All
Strategery.
right. Strategery. All right. I'm giving you a gift because I cannot not take Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Ah.
The combination of music, fantastic acting. I already talked about Clooney and how great he is in it. Think it's cool to base it on the Odyssey. I know loosely, but still, it shows their understanding and the filmmaking skills and being able to take a story that's been told so many times and make it original in its own way. So
It's funny. It occurs to me as you were describing why you like that movie that the other thing that I think Coen Brothers brought to film was kind of a literary sense.
mhm.
To me, all of their movies, first of all, they're all very they owe a lot to great literature in general. That's a great example because they from the outset they said, look, this is based upon this
Yep.
classic Greek Greek literature, the Odyssey. But and the your second choice, No Country for Old Men, is one of the few movies that they had that was kind of based completely on an outside source that I really love. Now I
Yep.
believe they wrote the script, so although it's based on the Cormac McCarthy novel, which I love, they managed to maintain his sensibility, what that book felt like when you read it. They did such a great job with that movie. It's one of the only ones they've done that are really serious from start to finish. That one you don't have any, suppressed laughter or barely any, not much at
No.
all. It's a depressing movie all the way through to the end. But they're very literary in how they make their movies, even though they're silly and even though they're so quirky and the stories can be so weird. Uh, they all feel like they were based upon somebody's novel, even the ones that they wrote just for film.
Yep. And I left you some biggies.
Some giants, yeah. So I did have "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" as my third pick on my list of favorites. My second pick, which you did not choose, is The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was the other one that I love that movie.
yeah,
But I really wanted to get No Country for Old Men. It's like you said, it's a little different than other things they've done, but it's just as great. And it's one of my favorites. So
yeah. It's to me. So I ended up getting my top two picks because Raising Arizona and Big Lebowski are my favorites, and I think it's because they are so funny as well.
yeah,
Uh, I will just to make you feel bad. No Country for Old Men would have been available for you because I had
yeah,
that five on my list.
yeah,
So it was because the next pick for me, the one I'm taking as my fifth pick is Fargo.
yep,
And that so Fargo, Big Lebowski, and Raising Arizona to me, the humor that underlies those movies is why they're at the top of my list. I love No Country for Old Men. Again, just rewatched that within the last 2 months, and I think it holds up so well. The acting in that film is so great. There's no, I mean, it deserved to be number two. I just wouldn't have picked it number two. Uh, but Fargo is another one of those where it's funny because it says it's based upon a true story at the very beginning of the film, and they've said no, it's not based on a true story. That was part of the story. Was we were going to say it was based on a true story, but it really does feel like some weird, crazy crime gone wrong that could have happened. And William H. Macy is amazing in that film. Buscemi is amazing in that film. It just Frances McDormand. I don't know. I know she was nominated for an Oscar. I don't know if she won for that, but what a killer cast in that film. and I just love it. That's Fargo's the one that they made a TV series out of that frankly does the film justice, but there's nothing like that movie Fargo. I just love that movie.
Agreed. And I assume you're going to take those two because you're Captain Obvious.
Hey man, all right, yeah, probably right.
No, I'm just kidding.
So that takes you to
I would
six
have
and
taken.
seven.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with one we already talked about, Burn After Reading. I was hoping that one would still be there.
Yeah,
That's a great one. It's hilarious. It's just fun. Great ensemble. We talked about it, Clooney and even Brad Pitt. Like I said, Malkovich. How can you not take a Malkovich movie?
yeah, yeah. Hard to
Now
argue.
now I'm a little torn.
It gets harder. It gets
It
harder.
does. And I haven't watched it in a while, but I remember really liking it. I'm going to go with The Serious Man. Um,
Ah,
and again, I'm gonna have a hard time recalling all the details of it, but it was just one of those where everything starts going wrong for a guy, and it felt to me different than their other stuff. But that's the thing that's great about him is we've said so many times it felt different. Like even the other one that I was gonna take, I don't care if take like True Grit. I mean, they redid a Western. I mean,
mhm.
but they did it damn well, and that was the one I was thinking about taking, but I already got my No Country for Old Men. I didn't want to go,
Yeah.
but to me, it shows their versatility, their breadth, what they can do, and they can do a lot of these movies really well. And I'm going to go back and watch A Serious Man because I remember when I first watched it, I was like, damn, this might be my favorite of theirs. But I probably have said that about all theirs and re-ranked them as we've gone through. But A Serious Man from what, 2009, I think?
That
Yeah.
sounds correct. Yeah.
And again,
2009.
I left you some good ones.
You did. You did. That one was actually further down my list. But it is that actually came the year after No Country for Old. No, the year after Burn After Reading. So they did '07 No Country for Old Men, '08 Burn After Reading, '09 A Serious Man, 2010 True Grit. That's 4 years. That's insane to me. That's
That's
amazing.
four incredible movies,
Yeah.
all
I
very different.
Right, and that's just it. Is they were so different. One, as you said, was a remake. One of the only remakes they've done, and the only remake they've done that I really really love to watch. The last movie I have on my list, the very last movie I think in terms of what I like, was a remake called The Lady Killers,
Yeah.
and that was with Tom Hanks. It seemed like it should be good. I don't like that movie. I think it's because they worked from somebody else's script, I think, if I read correctly somewhere along the line, but it just wasn't the same. But I agree with you. A Serious Man felt like a departure. It's kind of a smaller movie. I compare it to The Man Who Wasn't There with Billy Bob Thornton, which
Yeah.
is weirdly a kind of a hilarious movie, even though the crazy thing about that one is that Billy Bob Thornton's character barely speaks at all on the film, but his voice is the narrator and he never stops talking. It's just weird. It's off the beaten path. And A Serious Man is different from their other stuff in a different way, but both of those just show how they were willing to try and just tell stories in different ways. And I would not have taken A Serious Man as high as you did, but I have to say it's really a cool movie.
Yeah, and I think I'm not playing the game very well. I'm just picking the ones that have been my favorites. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is actually what I did as well. We had less crossover than I thought. I knew Raising Arizona
yeah.
was going to be at the top of the list, but the order is just a little different from us. So what am I picking? Nine. Yes. So I'm picking nine and
No, 8 and 9.
oh, excuse me, eight and nine.
Yeah, you got two coming to you.
So my pick for eight is the movie Miller's Crossing.
Yep.
And it was very close between my eighth pick and my ninth pick, but since I get to get them both, I'm in good shape. My ninth pick is Inside Llewyn Davis.
Hmm.
And Miller's Crossing to me, that one I didn't love the first time I saw it, but every time I've watched it since then, it's just improved in my eyes. The way they created this world of gangsters And I mentioned earlier they had their own kind of vocabulary, and it wasn't historical at all. It was just they wrote it. So these gangsters would come across each other in a nightclub or out on the street, and somebody would say, well, "Hey, buddy, what's the rumpus?" And there were just those kind of phrases and weird little words that they would use that aren't based on anything other than the world that the Coens created to do this. John Turturro is amazing in that movie. It what's his name? Gabriel Byrne is just fantastic in that film. I just love it, and I wasn't sure. Inside Llewyn Davis, for me, all comes down to Oscar Isaac playing this role of the kind of very self-centered folk singer who has the talent, but has horrible decision-making skills and just really bad timing. So he is basically in Greenwich Village, trying to kind of glom on to the folk revival scene that's going on in New York City at that time. And he's actually doing his thing really well and doing it before Dylan. But because he makes these horrible decisions and because he spends some time chasing a cat that got lost and because he leaves town at just the wrong time and because he does this like weird novelty song with some guys and instead of getting points on the back end, he just asked for like $100 so he can make this trip to Chicago. The song hits it huge and he would have made like thousands of dollars, but instead he got $100 check from him. He just is just bad, and Oscar Isaac is so good at playing that role that it was very close for me whether that was going to be my eighth pick or Miller's Crossing. They are just neck and neck, and it's funny because they're so incredibly different from each other, but both really well worth watching.
All right, that leaves me the last pick. This one, just my favorites. I've looked at multiple lists, and it's pretty far down the list on according to what critics might think. But I'm going with the Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh, that's a surprise to me.
Yeah, Tim Robbins, Jennifer Jason Leigh, of course, the great Paul Newman as well. There's some details that I don't think I realized at the time. Sam Raimi co-wrote it, and he worked as I don't know what a second unit director is, but it was just another fantastic job by the Coen brothers of reinterpreting a well-known style. I mean, this was just the screwball comedy type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
The invention of the hula hoop, and Tim Robbins is great, as he always is. I didn't leave thinking it was like one of the best movies I've seen, but in hindsight, it's held up. It's funny. I have a couple too serious movies on my list, so I needed to expand the humor just a touch, and that one does it for me.
That one was the second to last one on my list. It's one of two movies that they've made that I actually just don't really like.
You don't like? There you go.
And I've tried. I rewatched it. It's years ago now that I rewatched it, but I rewatched it and I thought, yeah, you know what? It doesn't hit me the right way. And maybe it's because there was another writer involved with them. I didn't know that, so it certainly wasn't part of my decision process. But the two movies of theirs they've made that I don't like are the Hudsucker Proxy and the Lady Killers.
Huh.
And it's interesting because I know what you're saying, and I think it didn't do well. I don't think it did well in the theaters.
No, I don't think it did well. It's just
but I think the critics
oddball.
liked it.
Yeah.
And those were the two that didn't hit with me.
And 100% agree with Lady Killers. I really wanted to like it because, like you said, Tom Hanks and the cast,
Right.
but it was not good at all. The other one that for me is just a little too weird is Barton Fink, and I've never really taken to it. That's at least probably considered a better movie, but it isn't one of my favorites. So I skipped it.
That was third from the bottom for me. That you should rewatch it maybe if you haven't seen it in 10 years or so. I watched it a couple years ago and I appreciated it a little bit more.
All right.
So for me, I wouldn't say I don't like Barton Fink, which was they've got 17 films, and I had that at 15, and it was the last one where I would still watch it again. The other two I probably won't ever watch again. I probably won't watch Hudsucker or Lady Killers, but you have those 5 movies or so in the middle that we didn't choose. and they're all awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
we mentioned most of them, right? We mentioned Intolerable Cruelty and The Man Who Wasn't There, Blood Simple, of course, which is just, again, it's just a little, I don't want to say immature. It's just not them yet. I guess it's a pretty good movie, but and then True Grit, which, as I said, is the only remake they did, out and out remake that I thought they just did such a great job of it.
Yeah.
And that was a repeat cast member too, right? Because that's Jeff Bridges, who was in Big Lebowski.
Yeah, Big Lebowski in a very different role.
Right, very different for sure. Well, that's a pretty damn good draft. You can't really go wrong with the Coen Brothers draft, in my opinion. I would ask listeners to email us at thirdsongin@gmail.com and tell us where you come out on the top Coen Brothers movies we picked, what your draft would look like. I'd like to hear from other people about this one. I do think I'll post the draft on our Facebook page, just so people see, who picked what and where. So by the time you listen to this episode, it should be out on Facebook, and I'll probably put it out on Blue Sky as well.
All right. And that will bring us to the quotes that Tom mentioned, which is what we call our loft of wisdom.
You better open up your eyes, babe, because fools do get wise.
Yep, Loft of Wisdom is Chris and I finding quotes that we either found funny or important or just ran across randomly. What is your quote for this week's Loft of Wisdom?
Well, even though I didn't take the movie in the draft, which I'm starting to regret, I did take a quote from that movie, and this is where Jeff Bridges' character, the dude, the other Lebowski, turns to John Goodman's character. They're in the car. I forget, and he's like, "Walter, I love you, but sooner or later you're going to have to face the fact you're a moron." It's just because John Goodman's character is a total moron throughout the movie, and it's just I don't know why that one stuck with me. But I obviously haven't called people Walter, but I've said many times, sooner or later you have to face the fact that you're just a moron.
Those three, along with Buscemi,
Yeah.
they are so good together in that movie. They are the highlight of that movie. When they're all three together on screen, it is just even when Steve Buscemi's character is dead and just a box of ashes, or was it coffee can, right? A coffee can of ashes. Yeah. Even then, they were hilarious together.
But what did you bring to the table this week?
I brought from the movie Fargo. I don't think that the character has a name. It's one of the hookers that Steve Buscemi and his partner in crime hooked up with. And it's when they're being interviewed by Frances McDormand's character as she's trying to figure out, what's going on with this kidnapping and eventual murder. And she asks this woman actually both women together, she asks them to describe Steve Buscemi. And the description that the girl gives is, he was just funny looking, more than most people even. And it's always stood out. I just love that. I love that quote.
Yes.
I think that captured that film as well as anything.
Yes, it did. That's a great one. So looking forward to adding these to our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. There is a page with the latest of our Loft of Wisdom quotes.
And now we move to staff picks.
Just around the corner from you.
Staff picks is Tom and I's version of what used to go into record stores, video stores, blah, blah, blah. And up on the board would be recommendations from the staff that work there. So usually be new movies in the video store, obviously, just things to check out. And for us, we're recommending anything that is truly new. Every once in a while, we'll recommend something that is just new to us that we've recently discovered. So what do you got, Tom?
I have, and I think this follows the theme of the episode, the Coen Brothers theme. There's a show that is out on Hulu, just came out, season 1, called The Lowdown. And it stars Ethan Hawke and just a tremendous supporting cast of kind of oddballs and weirdos, set in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ethan Hawke's character is a freelance writer for It's not a newspaper. In fact, one of the funniest lines in the first episode, he's getting the shit kicked out of him because of an article he wrote. And they're saying, you shouldn't have put this in the paper. And he's like, it's a long form magazine. And then bam, he gets hit in the face again. He's really good. Weirdly, I don't think he's ever been in a Coen Brothers movie, but this feels like a Coen character. He owns a used bookstore in Tulsa on a stretch of like outskirts of Tulsa where there's like a used record store and a lawyer's office in between. And it's about him trying to solve this, what he believes is a murder, which the police have ruled as a suicide. And actually, it's the person who kills himself is from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And his name is Tim Blake Nelson. He's one of the guys who escaped from the chain gang with George Clooney and John Turturro. So there is a Coen Brothers connection in that regard, but it's just, as I said, Ethan Hawke he believes it's a murder. It appears to be a suicide, and he's an investigative reporter. He calls himself a truth storian, which again just sounds Coen Brothers to me. But his ex-wife is she was in she had a role in Letterkenny. She's a Native American woman. She's really good in Letterkenny. She's really good in this. He has this supporting cast of there's a PI that he deals with. There's another antique dealer, a gay man who he kind of relies on for help in some of his shenanigans. It's just really good. I've only watched, I think the first season is 8 episodes. I've watched 4 of them, and I can't recommend it enough. I think it's really good. The guy who directed it, I think he directed every episode. He created it as the same guy who created Reservation Dogs, which is a Hulu show that's a little more of a comedy, but again, kind of hard to describe. I would say influenced by Coen Brothers. He's a Native American guy, and his name's Sterling Harjo, Harjo, and he did Reservation Dogs, which I think was critically acclaimed. I don't know how many people watched it. I liked it a lot. This is even better. It's a little kind of bigger in scale, and it's just a lot of fun. So my staff pick is The Lowdown, which is currently streaming on Hulu.
And for once, I've actually seen something that you recommended. So I did.
Oh,
Yeah, I watched the first couple episodes. Just haven't had a chance to get back to it. I cannot agree more with the comparison to Coen Brothers. In fact, I did a quick search while you were talking, and it's right out there that a lot of critics are comparing it to the Coen Brothers, and particularly, I think they said did they say the Big Lebowski? Let me look real quick, but it's just, a flawed protagonist, the ridiculously entertaining, chaotic charm, marriage of different genres.
yeah, very noir too, and
Yep.
that's probably why Big Lebowski, because I think that's the
Yes.
connection.
Yeah, and I've not always been a huge fan of, why am I blanking on his name?
Ethan Hawke, maybe.
Ethan Hawke, but this one made me appreciate him. Sort of like with Clooney, being
Yeah.
able to be the bizarre character who gets laughed at as much as anything else, and so I liked it. I will get back to it, I hope, at some point. It's not as popular in
Yeah.
my house as I like it, so.
Yeah, that's unfortunately for me, it is one my wife likes just as much, so I have to wait to watch it with her. So she's not around. I'm just like, hey. Every once in a while, I think about watching an episode and then just rewatching it and not telling.
Rewatching it, yeah, that's work.
What do you have for staff picks?
All right, so I've always been a big Lucinda Williams fan, but this one, and it's funny, I thought about this and you referenced it in your choice of the Llewyn Davis movie, the not quite being able to be Bob Dylan. When I listened to this song, which is entitled "The World's Gone Wrong," I figured I was just going to be listening to a song that's, summing up how you and I feel about how the world is going right now, which is to shit. But in typical Lucinda Williams, it's, starts out a story about a waitress and her husband and how hard times are. And then she, of course, ties it into the larger political picture that is a train wreck. But the way she delivers the song is, I mean, she's either at the top of her game or the bottom, because like if someone else sang these lyrics, they wouldn't rhyme, or the meter of them just doesn't line up well, but she drags her voice on at the end and raises it in a very in ways that most people may not appreciate. I'd ask you to give it a listen, Tom, because I think you're going to love it. Just it's a it she does a fantastic I think she does a fantastic vocal job on this, and it's a great song. I'd encourage people to give it a listen.
I have listened to it, and I agree 100%. I am a huge Lucinda Williams fan. She has the person I was thinking about when you were describing how she sings it. It's kind of Dylan-esque, right?
Yep.
She makes words fit what
Yes.
her story and her music, even if they don't really fit. And she's a master. That she's better than he is, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
She's fantastic. I do know, she had a stroke in 2020.
Mm.
And as a result of the stroke, she doesn't play guitar anymore. But she was able to recover enough to sing. And I wondered whether we would ever hear any new stuff from her. I mean, I don't think she tours. Maybe she does, but I never got a chance to see her live, and it's one of my regrets, particularly now because again, I doubt if she is touring, she's probably not going very far from home. But I have heard that song and listened to the most of that album, and I'm 100% behind you. That's a great staff pick.
Yeah.
I'm going to be listening to that for a long time, I think.
Yeah, I think I did not know she had the stroke, but
Yeah.
I do think she's at the top of her game, with especially you said the way she can make things rhyme that otherwise wouldn't. And I didn't want to call her the female Dylan because she is the Lucinda Williams.
Yeah, exactly. Again, she does her thing. Nobody else sings or writes songs like she does,
Right.
including Bob
Yep.
Dylan.
Well, that brings us to the core, I believe, of Third Song In, which is our playlist picks.
Yeah, so every episode, Chris and I choose a song apiece for our season-long playlist. This is season 10, episode 3. So this will be our fifth and sixth, I believe, songs for the playlist. I think we both picked songs that relate to this episode's theme, which is the Coen brothers and their films. I'll give you my song first, and it is directly from the soundtrack from Inside Llewyn Davis, which came out in 2014. That's a great music movie in general. I would say that Inside Llewyn Davis and Oh Brother Where Art Thou are odes to music in general, and both of the soundtracks for both of those films are outstanding. The song Fare Thee Well is sung by Oscar Isaac in character. On the soundtrack, it's a duet with Marcus Mumford. The two of them sing together, and it's just it really does feel like the late 60s folk from Greenwich Village, when it was a big deal to be performing and playing in that area. I really like that song, and that will be the next song on our playlist.
Nice choice. All right, this is the one that I hope to make Joe Pay proud. So in Fargo, there's a scene, there's not a lot of music in Fargo, like pop music or rock music or anything. But in one of the scenes, they're in the car, and on the car radio is playing the song "These Boots Are Made for Walking" by Nancy Sinatra, which is it's catchy as hell of a song as there is. I didn't want to use that one because it's a little too much pop for me. So I found a nice version called "These Boots" by Megadeth. And it's from their 1985 album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. So one, it's a great album title. Two, it's a great version of These Boots Are Made for Walking. I look forward to having it be right after your Fare Thee Well, which is also a great song.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a hard left turn after Fare Thee Well, which is like the most gentle, folky. Holy hell, that should be good. Yeah, I think
that's
Joe will
not,
appreciate that. I think Sloan Armstrong will appreciate that. I think our
yeah.
metal fans will like it.
And it's not usually something I love to do every once in a while. I mean, if I'm getting too slow, I'll try to crank it back up when I'm doing a playlist mix. But this one's going straight to 11, dude.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You can find our playlist wherever you stream music, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, etc., etc. Please go to those streamers, listen, download, and share our playlists with whoever you can. And again, email us at thirdsongin@gmail.com and let us know what you think.
Yeah, like Tom said, we got at least 9 full season playlists out there. I go back and regularly listen to them. We'd encourage you to, pick out a couple, listen to them, and let us know what you think. That brings us to the end of our third episode of season 10 of Third Song In. Third Song In is recorded in Joliet, Illinois, and Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
You can email us, as I've mentioned numerous times, at thirdsongin@gmail.com. Email your questions, your comments, your suggestions for future themes for episodes or guests. We read every email, which is to say, we've read both of them.
Tom is lonely. Send him emails. He wants to interact with our audience.
I really do. I really, really do.
Check out our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. You can listen to our episodes right down the front page. There's links to, as I said before, Loft of Wisdom, the playlist picks, and all the playlists, I'm sorry, our staff picks. There's a as mentioned page where you can get information on our various guests, and we've had quite a few. We usually have 3 to 5 episodes, 3 to 5 guests every season, including our most recent one with Ike Riley.
Follow, rate, and review this podcast wherever you listen to us. We're on all the platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. We're now streaming on Pandora and Overcast. You can download it. You can share it. Please give us all the goddamn stars. I want you to borrow stars from other people and then give us those stars.
Yeah, you should, especially those Pandora people. They want to give us their stars.
They do. They do.
They
don't know it yet, but
we're new to them, which is kind of amazing. But we talked about the playlists. Listen to them, and if you can, share them with folks. Not to be too bold, but we think there's some really good playlists out there. Good choice of songs for each episode, and our guest playlists are really awesome too. We've said one with Matthew Grimm, which is one about more protest songs. We did one with Sloan Armstrong, which is a shit kicker song. All kinds of great stuff out there. You can find any of our playlists by just searching for Third Song In.
Yeah, and you can also find our playlists on thirdsonginpodcast.com. Some people have difficulty searching and finding them through the streamers themselves, but if you go to our page, where to listen, you can find links to those playlists on all of the streamers. We also have social media stuff out there. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and a Blue Sky account. Please follow us there as well. Not only will you get links to episodes and playlists, etc., you'll also get updates on what we're doing, and more importantly, what our present and future guests may be doing. You'll find plugs and dates and details on our social media. Please follow us.
And then last but not least, Tom and I each do a blog. We take turns publishing that on our website, thirdsonginpodcast.com. We also put it out there on Substack, and you can subscribe to our Substack blog. Is it a channel? I should know, but you can just subscribe to Third Song In on Substack, and you'll get the blogs delivered to your inbox every Friday morning.
Next week, we have an interview. We've got a new guest coming in. He's the multi-talented comic book creator, Tim Seeley. I'm a huge fan of a lot of stuff he does, and he does a lot. So tune in next week for Tim Seeley.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to talking to Tim. You've been listening to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. Thanks for listening.
We are working our way toward our 100th episode of Third Song In.
200th, my friend. 200th.
What did I say?
You said 100th.
No, we are working our way to our 100th.
Oh, 2-year anniversary, 100th episode. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. The only thing you said correct was that I'm your friend.
You know what? Keep it up.
Yeah. Listen, I can't afford to lose any more friends, dude.
Staff picks is where Tom and I will recommend new things, whether it be movies, TV shows, songs or albums, any anything that Chris can't say. You need to get a life, dude.